As you can see, I've been asked to do this film, and as a former employer of mine and a great mentor once said, in business, always say yes to whatever you've been asked, and then try and work out what the hell you just agreed to afterwards. So I follow that meaning in life, and I always say yes to everything I am asked.
Can I have an ice cream, please?
No. Joker is a 2019 American psychological thriller film directed and produced by Todd Phillips, who co-wrote the screenplay with Scott Silver. The film, based on DC comic characters, stars Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker and provides a possible origin story for the character. Set in 1981, it follows Arthur Fleck, a failed clown and stand-up comedian whose descent into insanity inspires a violent counter-cultural revolution against the wealthy in a decaying Gotham City. When the film was released, it divided critics, some saying it was great and some say it reported violence. But what could have made this film better? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. 10 things that could have made Joker better. And there are spoilers this week, really bad spoilers this week. Number 10. Missing cameos. There have been some amazing actors who've played the Joker over the years. You've had Jack Nicholson in the original 1989 Batman. You've actually had Heath Ledger. What a performance in The Dark Knight. You had Jared Leto. Move on. And then you've got the ultimate Joker, my personal favourite, Mark Hamill. So why could you have at least one of these as a cameo in the film? Well, with Jared Leto, he was a bit annoyed they made this film not his standalone Joker film, so it's understandable why he wouldn't do a cameo. And we all know why Heath Ledger, rest in peace, is not in this film. But why couldn't you have Jack Nicholson or Mark Hamill just have a cameo? It would have been funny as hell, especially as you've had the perfect opportunity. When Arthur's in the psychiatric hospital, you could have just had those two sat down in straitjackets. It would have been brilliant. But no, there was no cameos, except for Clint Eastwood. I don't quite understand why Clint Eastwood was actually cameoing in this film, but hey ho. But yeah, can we please have some previous Jokers as cameos? Number 9. Confusing backstory. In Arthur's many visits to see his social worker, it's referenced that he spent time in hospital. For what? Now, we know he's got some issues, but what was he in hospital for? Was it to do with them? Was it something completely unrelated? We don't know. They just say he was in hospital. Why? I would like to know why. I would like to really know and get behind why this character turns the way he does. Just explaining, just one line. You were in hospital because of this. But they just said, your time in hospital. What for? We need to know these answers. Number 8. Already mental. One of the greatest comic books is actually a Joker origin story. It's called The Killing Joke. If you've never read it, go read it. I don't own a copy, but I actually borrowed a copy from the library. Yes, that shows how old I am again. And one of the things about that book which made the story so brilliant is the original Joker. He was a normal person. He had no issues. His life just completely and utterly fell apart, and that's when he lost it, which was what made us buy into his story. In this, he already has mental issues, and it's just more of failings of the system rather than something that happened to drive him mad and turn him into the Joker. Although it was well done, I would have preferred it if it was a normal person, not a mental person. Number 7. Already a clown. It's like we missed something beforehand. At the start of this film, he is already a clown. He's not the clown prince of crime as he would go on to be, but he's already has a job as a clown. What? I don't quite get that. Why was he already a clown? He's using his job already to transform into what ultimately is the Joker. But yeah, already being a clown, I didn't quite buy into that. I would have thought it would have developed throughout the story, not it's his job to start with. To me, it didn't make sense. Number 6. Too old. Joaquin Phoenix did an absolutely amazing job. He was absolutely fantastic, and I'm not going to take that away from it at all. Except, I do think he was a bit too old. Now, Joaquin Phoenix would have been 44 when this film was made. Now, it would have been about 20 years before the Batman comes around. So that means he would have been in his mid-60s when the Batman's going up against Joker. That doesn't make sense. If it does to anyone else, please let me know. But to me, I think he was just slightly too old to actually become the Joker. The Joker and Batman were roughly around about the same sort of age. And as I'll say in this list later on, Bruce Wayne was in this film as a kid. So it doesn't make sense. Yeah, no, he was too old. Even though his performance was absolutely fantastic, and bizarrely enough, it was written for Joaquin Phoenix, I still think he was just too old for the part. You needed someone younger. Any suggestions, leave in the comments below. I don't actually have any because Joaquin Phoenix's performance was perfect. Just the age. We'll do some de-aging on him to make him look younger. Number 5. Wasted love interest. So yeah, there is actually a love story sort of in the background of this film. It was performed by Zazie Beetz. I apologise if I can't say her name right, but she plays Sophie Drummond, who acts as a sort of love interest, except it was all in his head. Why? I actually didn't follow that bit. It didn't make sense, especially as a bloke. The most bane of every male existence is a woman. Any woman can make a man mad. I've been there, so I know what I'm talking about. But I think this film wasted that opportunity. He actually falls in love, she returns, or jilts him, or ends up in bed with someone else. That would send a man over the edge. But I think they just wasted it by having it all in his head. It didn't quite flow. You could have either built more on it or not have it at all. It wouldn't have actually made that much of a difference. I do think you actually wasted this opportunity or storyline. So yeah, either get rid of it or expand on it a little bit. Number 4. Want to know how I got these scars? Okay, maybe I shouldn't have done the silly little voice from that bit, but it makes sense. He didn't get the scars in this film, which would have been a perfect, and I mean perfect, ending. I mean, in the original Batman, you saw how he got the scars, he got shot through the cheek. In Dark Knight, that was a running joke. He changed his stories. You want to know how I got these scars? There's 3 different versions of it, and you get the impression he doesn't even remember how he got these scars. Jared Leto, I don't think he had scars. Hell, even Gotham actually showed how he got a scarred face as well. But in this film, nothing. By the end of this film, that's it. He is the Joker, the Crown Prince of Crime. He is there as the Joker, but with no scars. And you had the best opportunity. At the end of the film, when he's involved in the car crash and he gets pulled out of it, have something could have sliced his face. Give him like one of those what sort of gypsy smiles, whatever they're called. Something like that. But you missed that. All he did was actually take his own blood and just draw it. You should have shown how he got the scars. It would have been it would have been the cherry on top of this gorgeous, beautiful cake. Number 3. Less Waynes. Okay, this I found really annoying. Why was Thomas Wayne one of the central characters? Are the Waynes the only rich people in Gotham City? I very much doubt that in London that you've only got Alan Sugar as the only wealthy person living in London. Have someone else. Someone completely different, someone original, but not the Waynes. This was a Joker origin story. We didn't need to know or intertwine or have any interactions with the Waynes. Granted, put him as a background character, have like the news thing, just like that little Easter egg, but don't make him a character for the story. It sort of diminishes the Joker part of it. We wanted to see Joker's origins, not more of the Wayne family dramas. Number 2, Batman origins. So yeah, following on from the last one, why? Why was there a Batman origin story in this? This is a Joker origin story. We wanted to see Joker. We did not want to see how Batman came to be Batman, which we got in this film. We've had that too much now. You've had it in 1989's Batman. Hell, they recapped it in Batman Forever. It was in Batman Begins. Hell, they even recapped it in Batman v Superman, and we've not had it long on TV with the Gotham TV series. We don't want to see another Batman origin story. It was unwarranted. Why? Number 1, no to sequel. So this film was written as a standalone film. It's not meant to have a sequel, and it was written as a one-off. Brilliant. But because it's done so well at the box office, The creators are thinking, oh, maybe we should do another one. Hell, even Joaquin Phoenix is umming and ahhing about doing a second one. Don't do it! You will ruin what fantastic film you've got here. Yes, it is a fantastic film, but don't ruin it by doing a sequel. You will cheapen this. This is a brilliant standalone film. Leave it as that. Do not do the sequel. End of. No. Final thoughts. Okay, as I've just let it slip, I actually think this is a brilliant film. But it's not without its flaws. There are some issues. As I said, too much referencing on the Waynes and too much referencing on Bruce Wayne becoming Batman. That's the biggest flaw in this. Other than that, it is a brilliant film. It glorifies violence in a realistic way. It's a social commentary on how bad the mental health system was in the 80s. As somebody who has gone through mental health issues in his past, I can appreciate that I've had help, not what I would have got in the 80s, which shows you how far we have become in the last 30 years, which is brilliant. And I love that, and I also appreciate going back in time and seeing what the world was like at the beginning of the 80s. As I said, this was set in 1981, and I was born in 1981, so it was a nice little... Granted, it's in a fictitious city of Gotham City, but it was more of what was going on in like New York and Chicago and top cities of that time, which was brilliant, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Joaquin Phoenix as Joker. You cannot say anything bad about his performance. It was brilliant, and you bought into his story. You actually felt for him, and as something I've said in these videos before, you need to understand about these bad guys to actually fully immerse and get why they're doing what they did. And you actually get that in this film. They actually show you his descent into madness. I think they've only showed you the tail end. I think there was more, which they haven't shown, but they did say about backstory like he was an abused child. Now, as I said, I personally would have loved to have seen a normal person descent into madness, but I didn't mind the fact they didn't. I actually kind of liked it because it showed the failing of the system. There's nothing, other than the too much Batman and Thomas Wayne stuff, there's not actually that much wrong with this film. The soundtrack was brilliant. The casting was fantastic. And one thing I loved with this film is the fact that in a day of HD where everything has to be crystal clear, you have a grainy effect, like it was filmed on videotape in the 80s, and I thought that was a nice, good touch. Bizarrely enough, this is actually classed as a low budget film because they didn't want to spend much money on it. And it shows you don't have to have a shared universe to make something succeed. This is a standalone, it's nothing to do with the DCEU. It has no relation to the current Batman film that's in production now. I hope to hell that there is no origin story in that film as well, otherwise I am going to slate it when I do one of these videos on it. But yeah, it was so engaging, so brilliant, and so in there, you can't actually say much wrong with it. So what am I going to rank it? Well, it was a good film, lack of action, but you didn't really need that. It was a very psychological, and I think this is the first psychological film I've done. I'm actually going to give this 8. 8 out of 10 berries. That's what I'm going to give it. What did you think? Did you like the film? Did you hate the film? What are your opinions on this film? Please leave them in the comments below and I will reply back to you. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm on social networking. Just search for @BerryMan81. There's also links in the description as well. And I will see you next week where I'm doing a Roald Dahl film that's just about to be remade. An easy clue this week if you want to do some research. Same rules apply. Whoever gets it first, I'll pin the correct answer. But until then, I will see you next Sunday. Bye bye.